Our first performer tonight is Pearl Louise in Pass the Nails and Shame the Devil. Get ready for a roller coaster ride fueled with hope, dreams, and hard work as a Southern family, originally from Louisiana, decides to build a house in a predominantly Black neighborhood in Oakland in the mid-1980s. Please welcome Pearl Louise.
Check this out. So I'm listening to my mother giving me directions. Okay, honey, go to your right. Scooch over just a little bit. One more step, honey. That's it. Put it down right there. And that's what I did. I put the stake in the ground, hammered it in, and flagged it. I was doing this all day long. Me and my mother were surveying a lot in Oakland. I was there hammering in stakes and flagging them while my mother was giving me directions. Now my mother was standing on a milk crate because she's so short, and she was looking at a scope in a survey machine that I only see white men with yellow vests and hard hats use. But there was my mother looking through that scope and that survey machine with his long, sturdy legs. I ran up to my mom. Hey, Mom, what you doing? I know what I'm doing. You just do what I tell you to do. Now, my mother rented that survey machine that was so big when it was in its case, she couldn't even pick it up. As a matter of fact, she couldn't pick it up even when it was out of the case. I had to help her. Now, let me tell you guys, this was the 80s. I'm talking about the 80s. MTV was fairly new. Video killed the radio star. Everybody was watching VHS tapes. Please be kind. Rewind. I'm talking about you guys, the 80s. Like I'm trying to tell my kids, it was brutal back then. Michael Jackson and Prince was dueling it out. Now let me tell you something, kids. Ain't no internet. Read the book if you want to find some information. No smartphone. If you want to go outside, hit that payphone and drop some dimes in there. And YouTube. Are you kidding me? You got that 600-pound console TV set. That's the tube there. And I don't have the remote control. I'm talking about the 80s, y'all, where my mother was reading the books to know how to work that survey machine. She learned on her own. She didn't go to the classes or school. She learned through books. The 80s, y'all. My mother used to fall asleep because she was reading all these construction books. She was like this. Snoring sometimes. I would reach over and try to grab that book. And she would pop up. I'm reading that book. Can't you see me reading? Mom, with your eyes closed? Yeah, with my eyes closed. That's how I read. The 80s, y'all. A lot of people said that my mother was extremely bright, very brilliant, and extremely determined. Well, I wanted to be a teacher, a professor of mathematics. I was married to your father, and I was going to Southern University in Louisiana. That was just for colored students. There was another school called LSU, Louisiana State University, but that was for white students, lily white students. Well, after a while, I started having new kids. And well, my hands got full and I just couldn't finish college So your father and I decided to come to California. Back at the lot, you guys. So there it is. My mother and I was looking at the lot of all the states that was flagged, and I was looking at it. And when we were leaving, I was scared. I was thinking to myself, hey, if we leave this lot, will they, I don't know, kick over the stakes and pull them out to ground? Will they throw trash on it again? Well, the next day, my mother and I came down to the lot with bated breath. And there were the stakes. Nothing was touched. Nothing moved. Nothing was changed. The stakes with their flags fluttering in the wind were standing at attention for the next tour of duty. The only thing I thought was, thank you, Lord. Jesus wept. My mother just said, I told you, our people wouldn't do that to us. Well, time goes by, right? And today was Team Mom and Dad at the lot in the early morning. Team Mom and Dad consisted of Mom, Dad, Benny, and me. Benny is my good friend. Benny is from Africa. Now I know what you're telling me and asking, hey, Pearl, what country in Africa is Benny from? Let's just say the name of the country he's belonging in, the rhymes with grimy ass Africans boosting bad checks. I know what you're saying. Hey, Pearl, Nigeria doesn't rhyme with grimy ass Africans boosting bad checks. I know, but you get my point, right? Benny would tell me, this is wonderful. I have never built anything like this before in my life. I called my family in Lagos and let them know what I was doing. I said, okay, Benny, we haven't even started. But anyway, there was a few days go by, and that day was groundbreaking day. My father had to dig a trench, the circumference of that building, with his back, his hand, and a shovel. When my dad threw out the clods of dirt, Benny and my mom and I would take the dirt. Oh, my mom, hey, Mom, why don't you get a home machine or something to do that? Why does my dad got to do that? She straightened up. Oh, honey, we just don't have the budget to do this. Don't worry, baby. We'll be finished before you know it. And I watched my dad dig. My dad was sweating so much. The sweat was coming down his forehead, and it would drip in the dirt, drip, drip, drip. I would give my dad some water, and he would drink it. Or he'd go behind the back of his pocket and wipe his forehead, put it back, and continue digging. My father was born in 1929 in the deep, segregated, and hateful South of Louisiana. He's always worked hard his whole life. My father never had a chance to go to school. I remember he told me a story. Oh, I must have been about 9, maybe 11. One room old schoolhouse. The teachers would come. One day, this white man came into the classroom. he made an announcement. He said, I need a couple of these colored boys here. Work out in that field with me. He took me. When we got out the school room, he looked down at me, my friend, and he said, you two niggas don't need no sleep. And at 9, maybe I left. My father was strapped, worked the field with mules. See how this how I go, baby. With that leather strap around me, connected to that plow. Then I go over to that old mule right here and connect them leather straps to that mule. There I was, connected to them all. Me and that 2 mules. And let me tell you, baby, you will break. Many mules done dropped and just died. This is what we do. We rope up that mule, attach it to another mule, and drag that mule all the way down his tired, dead self. Right by the body. Take my machete, bust up that mule's belly, blah, cut his head off, ding, chop him up, and again, see the critters body, ready for meal. Pull the legs out a little bit, the body, and I sit back with my machete. Watch those gators come up from swamp water. They come up on their belly and the mule parts ran right in the body. I sit there and I watch. Back in these days, them old peckerwoods would have killed me too. Throw me in that pot. My mother was right. We finished digging up the trench. Oh man, I was getting blisters on my hands. What's going on here? I 2 hands. Anyways, we were building the frame box. And as we were building that frame box, when we put the tie rods in there, and then put the cement in there, I noticed a lot of people in the neighborhood would walk by. In the church here. Owns this property over here. Damn. They didn't think anybody build anything here. Well, one day, my mother and I were sitting on turnover paint buckets, just drinking cold water and talking. My dad and Benny was on the other side of the lot. All of a sudden, this black guy comes up, swag walks up to me, my mom. He was dark skinned. His hair was cut almost bald. He was taller than me. Slim built. Had construction clothes on and work boots, carrying a duffel bag that I think had tools. He walked up to my mom and dropped the tools and introduced himself. Hey, how you doing, man? Yeah, my name is DeMarcus. People call me D. When he smiled, he had 2 gold teeth. Hey, it looks like y'all need some help around here. Look, I could do all this. Learned this stuff from when I was a kid. My dad used to teach me all the time. I know how to do from the ground up like you guys are doing. Let me tell you, I live down the street, couple of blocks. Black folks will tell me, hey, DeMarcus, a whole lot of black folks out there by East 14 doing a lot of work, you know? So I said, really? Yeah, let me tell you something. You need me. Across the street, I see you, ma'am, all the time. I said to myself, she looked like the boss. So I'm coming to you, boss lady. I need this job. What do you think? Now my mother was looking at DeMarcus, smiling. She got up. He helped her up. Thank you so much. Oh, I can sure use a good man like you and some good help. Good, reliable help now. You go over here and talk to my husband and my friend and tell him what you do. DeMarcus looked at my dad, and DeMarcus smiled, looked at my mom. She said, okay, be right back, ma'am. Stepped over his stuff, went over to my mom, my dad, and DeMarcus. I smelled alcohol. Then he was talking to my dad. My dad's arms is folded. DeMarcus is talking, yeah, walk, yeah, I can do it. My dad's arms folded. Then he stuck out his arm and shook DeMarcus' hand. Did dad just hire this guy? DeMarcus came over to my mom again. Yeah, mom, Pop say I'm on the crew now. Mom, Pops, he should get familiar, right? Hey, little sis, I see you doing it. I see you out there working all the time. Guess what, sis? You're gonna see me every day. Little sis, every day? Well, Pops told me to come here and talk to you about this money, you know what I'm saying? Well, I want to pay you, and this is what I do. I'll pay you what I have, and that saves a lot. He said, okay. So my mom threw out a price. Oh man, y'all should have seen DeMarcus. He was swaying like a tree in a hurricane. Oh man. Come on, Mom. You can't bring it up just a little bit more. I got bills I gotta pay. I got bills to pay too. So my mother gave a price. DeMarcus agreed to it, and they said, okay. Later on that evening, at the dinner table, told my mom and my dad, hey, Dad, smell that alcohol on DeMarcus' breath? He's eating. Let me tell you something. I work on job sites all day. And half the men got drink on their breath anyways. That boy works really good. And come tomorrow too. I think it'll work out. And my dad was right. DeMarcus was pretty good. Now, didn't take long before DeMarcus came up to her mom and said, Mom, let me tell you something. Let me hire these men that's coming off these streets like that. Man, they be running game on you all the time, Mom. Let me do it. My mother was like, okay, if you could do better than I can. And he went to work. DeMarcus started hiring people. Yeah, you look good. I see the work that you do all day. Yeah, let's do this. You straight, you solid, be at work tomorrow. And then he would fire people. Fuck you doing, man? No, fuck. Hey, get your shit and get the fuck up out of here. Let me tell you something. Don't worry about it. Mickey D is hiring, so he need another clown. So get up on out here and bust yourself. I don't know about you, but I think D likes firing people more than hiring people. Levi comes back on his bicycle. Ding, 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 ding. Levi was a little kid down the street. Everybody liked Levi. Levi would be asking all kind of questions and everything. I like Levi. My mom liked Levi. And DeMarcus really liked Levi. Yeah, see, Levi be asking a lot of questions. That's what you gotta do, man. Let me tell you something. Teach these youngsters. Let them know they can build something instead of running drugs, you know, being a gang and everything. Well, time goes by, and today is a big day. Literally, Down the street come cement trucks. Down the street, there's steel bellies rotating with the cement. There they were going down these narrow hood streets, passing, looking like steel whales, passing little parked cars the size of guppies. There were the guys, the crewmen, standing, waiting for the cement truck. The cement truck was driving down the street, honking his horn, boom, boom, boom. And the diesel engine, everybody was waiting, was making a lot of sounds and noises. All of a sudden, the guy comes up in the truck. He bounds out the truck with a clipboard to sign for delivery and a bill of sale to be paid. After my mom and dad paid all that, we were ready. Everybody front and center. The cement man puts on his gloves. Off of him. He pulls down that steel slide as the belly cement was rotating around. A lot of people in the neighborhood was gathering. What they doing? What they doing? At a safe distance. DeMarcus nodded to the guy. And the guy pulled the switch. Boink! All of a sudden, a big gas fart. Boom. And all of a sudden, cement started coming down the slide. DeMarcus and my dad was directing the guy to put a slide over here, put a slide over there, cement everywhere. DeMarcus was barking orders at the guy, hey, move your ass over there. Yeah, do that thing. The guys are sloshing in the cement with knee-high wet boots, sloshing, throwing cement over here, throwing cement over there. We finished at the end of the day. We roped off the area and we took shifts so that nobody be keep doing an electric slide on that wet cement, right? That's not gonna happen. So there we were. Now, my mother was very proud of these men off the streets. Hope and hard work. But DeMarcus called the crew BMW. Not the car BMW, BMW, black men working. And my mom and dad was very proud. These men came from all walks of life, just needed help. And they were very proud of them. All I could think of when I looked out there, I said, oh man, we got a lot to go still. Hope and hard work. I hope these guys stick around. Thank you.
Momentary pause. He says, I don't know the rest of it. I feel like action is about to happen very soon. Feel it. Yes. All right, the one and only Pearl Louise. All right. Our second performer tonight is Alan Harris in Tantrums. This piece is anger done funny. Well, done angrily. Please welcome Alan Harris.
Good evening. I would like to begin by reading a poem written by me about me. But before I do, I feel that I should warn you, there will be swearing. In fact, there's going to be a lot of swearing. You see, that's how I express myself, profanely, crudely, obscenely, offensively, in a direct, aggressive, no holds barred, take no prisoners kind of way. And if you can't handle that, well, you're welcome to leave. I mean, no one's holding you here against your will. Yeah, there's the exit. No, excuse me. You looking for the exit? No, it's over here, at the other end of the room. Yes, yeah, keep going. That's right. Yes, yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, now turn left. Okay, you see the exit? No. That's the door to the men's room. Yeah, you see the little stick figure drawing of the man on it? You see the word men underneath that? You see the sign underneath that says restrooms are for customers only? That's because that's the door to the men's room. Yeah, the exit is next to it. No, to the right. No, the other right. Oh my God! I mean, it has the word exit in big red letters above it. Are you blind or do you just not know how to read? You know what? Why don't you just come back and sit down? And when I'm done, I will personally show you where the exit is. No, I can't show you now. I'm about to read my poem. Yes, the one with all the swearing in it. I understand that the point of you wanting to leave now is so that you won't have to sit here and listen to my poem with all the swearing in it. But you know what? There's a very good chance that the next poet who comes up here is also going to read a poem that has swearing in it. Poets often use profanity. It's a very effective form of expression. And I'll tell you something else. You want to go to poetry readings? You better lose that easily offended sensibility of yours. Poetry ain't beanbag. Poetry is life. And in life, people swear. And real poets reflect that. Real poets will confront the readers of their poems with the raw, ugly language of real people living real lives. It's the poetry of the modern world, of profound confusion, of moral ambiguity, of existential angst, of corruption of the soul. And you expect a poet to express that without swearing? No, I'm sorry. You're in the wrong place. And there's the exit. Where are you going? It's not over there. Why do you keep going over there? It's over there. Yes, go back. Go, yes. Okay, now turn left. No, that's the door to the men's room. It's the door to the right. No, the other right. You know what? Hold on. I'll be right there. Oh, hello. Is that a gun? Are you pointing a gun at me? Are you mugging me? Is this a mugging? Oh my God. This is so exciting. I've never been mugged before. I'm a crime victim virgin. What? You're sorry? You're only mugging me because you're on drugs? Oh, I see. You need money to buy drugs, and that's your excuse for mugging me. Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. I'm on drugs too. Yeah. In fact, I'm stoned and drunk right now. In fact, if I wasn't so stoned and drunk right now, I could have opened the front door of my apartment building and gotten inside before you even had the chance to mug me. The only reason that you're even able to mug me is because I'm so stoned and drunk right now. In fact, if I wasn't so stoned and drunk right now, I could just reach out with my left hand and grab your gun while using my right hand to push you down the stairs, and then you would be lying in a crumpled heap at the bottom of the stairs while I went inside and called the police, who would come and scoop you up and take you away. As the media descended upon my street, wanting to know the story of the citizen who refused to be a victim and who acted out the fantasy of anyone who has ever been violated by a street thug. No offense. I would attain the stature of a national figure. Books would be written about me, TV movies would tell my story, and bumper stickers with phrases like, "Don't harass Alan Harris," would adorn cars. But because I'm so stoned and drunk right now, none of that is going to happen. So, spare me your lame excuses. Yeah, just take my money and my dignity and my innocence and my sense of security and my sense of well-being and my belief in the basic goodness of all people and in a just and balanced universe, and fuck off. Besides, we both know that drugs are not an excuse. They're a symptom. Class warfare, institutional racism, a society plagued by rampant materialism, a media that lies, and corruption eating away at every level of our government have conspired to force you to mug me. America stole my $18, not you. But hey, thanks for listening, Mr. Mugger, and have a good night. Yes, this message is for Alan Harris. Mr. Harris, our records indicate that you have ignored, let's see, you have, sorry, my glasses on. Oh, yeah. Our records indicate that your account is now 60 days past due. Our records also indicate that you have ignored our repeated requests to bring your account up to date. Now, Mr. Harris, you may see us as a huge and faceless corporation which provides services to millions of people. And you may think as long as the majority of these people pay their bills on time and in full, that a handful of people, such as yourself, Mr. Harris, can just fly, ignoring the contractual obligation that you have made to our company. But let us assure you, Mr. Harris, that while we are indeed a huge corporation, we are anything but faceless. In fact, we employ thousands of faces, faces which belong to people whose lives, nay, whose very existences depend on you honoring your commitment to us. People like Director of Personnel Jack Stevens, who has a wife and 4 children and 2 mortgages and a summer home in the Hamptons, and a 40-foot sailboat, which I am going to assume is his only means of communing with nature, an environment which, in the highly pressurized and completely dehumanizing hustle and bustle of daily urban life, is all that stands between him and complete and utter madness. People like customer service representative Rose Fernandez, single mother and sole means of support for bright-eyed and delightful little 14-month-old Michael Fernandez, whose young life is in your hands, Mr. Harris. For you see, Mr. Harris, when you entered into a contractual obligation with our company, you not only made a commitment to a corporate entity, but you also took partial responsibility for the lives of fellow human beings. In short, Mr. Harris, we are not just a corporation of huge proportions and vast holdings. We are America. And if you feel that it is unnecessary for you to honor your commitment to America, well then, why don't you just move to Russia? Yeah, Yeah, that's it, Mr. Harris. Why don't you just move to Russia? And then maybe after you kind of taste how the Russians deal with people who refuse to conform, who refuse to toe the party line, who refuse to contribute to the greater good, maybe after you've spent a decade rotting in a Russian prison, completely isolated, starved nearly to death, and totally forgotten by anyone who has ever known you, well then maybe you'll appreciate how little we asked of you. But don't get us wrong, Mr. Harris. This has gone far beyond us merely interrupting your service or reporting you to a credit agency like Experian. Oh, no, no, no. We're going to make an example of you, Mr. Harris. Yes, yes, we're going to make an example of you. For you see, as we are a corporation of huge proportions and vast holdings, we can affect your life in ways that you could never even imagine. And if you think we're bluffing, well, bear in mind that a certain female presidential candidate didn't pay her bill either. Russian intervention, our ass, Mr. Harris. It was us. It was us. In short, Mr. Harris, if you fuck with us, you get burned. If you have any questions regarding this message, please contact our accounting department. May you rot in hell. I am a server in a seafood restaurant. I have a guest who tells me that he wants to order one of the non-seafood items on our menu, a steak. And he explains to me that the reason that he is ordering a steak and not a seafood item is because he is deathly allergic to seafood. And therefore his steak must be prepared in such a way as to not come in contact with anything that has also come in contact with seafood. It must be cooked on a surface in which no seafood has ever been cooked. The utensils given to him to eat the steak must have never been used to eat seafood. The plate on which the steak is served must have never been used to serve seafood. That his allergy to seafood is so severe that if his steak comes in contact with anything that has ever, at any time in the history of the world, also come in contact with seafood, no matter how many times that thing has been washed, he could die. Now, have I mentioned that I'm a server? You know, what used to be called a waiter before political correctness demanded that the terms waiter and waitress be replaced by the non-gender specific term server? That I am a server of food and not a medical professional. You know, not a doctor, not a nurse, not even a paramedic. That I am someone who merely serves food to people. And yet, despite my lowly station in life, this man feels that it is entirely appropriate for him to put his life into my hands, to place on my shoulders the burden of keeping him alive, to be the only thing standing between him and almost certain death by seafood. In a seafood restaurant! Maybe, I think, he doesn't realize that he's in a seafood restaurant. Maybe the fact that almost every item on the menu is some sort of seafood doesn't make it apparent enough to him that he is in fact sitting in a seafood restaurant. Maybe the decor, which includes life preservers and life jackets and fishing nets and even fish mounted on the walls, as well as paintings of fishermen at sea actually fishing, as well as fish tanks and lobster tanks and an oyster bar and a sushi bar. Maybe none of these things is enough to alert this man to the fact that he is in fact in a seafood restaurant, the one place that a person like him, someone with an allergy to seafood so severe that just taking a photograph of him with a camera that has a fish eye lens on it could kill him, should never go into. I mean, does he have some sort of Death wish? What if he does? What if he knows very well that he's in a seafood restaurant? And he has given me this impossible mission because he wants me to fail. If so, what the fuck? I mean, if you want to kill yourself, though, take an overdose of sleeping pills or jump off the Golden Gate Bridge like a normal person. Don't hatch an elaborate plot that hinges on the failure of some poor, pathetic food server to carry out an unrealizable task. Waiting tables is stressful enough without a bodyguard to contend with. Finally, I have to ask. Excuse me, sir, but if you're so perilously allergic to seafood, why would you even risk walking into a seafood restaurant, let alone ordering food in one? He points at the two people sitting at the table with him. My friends wanted seafood. Oh, your friends wanted seafood. Well, may I suggest that if these two people were really your friends, that they would be willing to forego seafood for one night so that you could have a fighting chance of living through the meal? I mean, you think that if they were really your friends, they wouldn't, want you to risk your life just because they're in the mood for crab cakes. Okay, I don't actually say this. I just think it. What I actually say is, I'm sorry, sir. There's no way that I can guarantee your safety. It's then that he asks to speak to the manager, who thankfully assigns the table to another server, as he feels that my relationship with this particular guest has deteriorated due to my excessive concern for his well-being. With all the condescension he can muster, the manager suggests to me that maybe food server isn't the right profession for me, since I obviously can't handle the pressures that come with the job. I suggest to him that maybe someone who works for tips shouldn't be put in the position of having to safeguard someone else's entire existence. The next day, I apply for a job with the post office. Because the post office provides a valuable service, has room for advancement, is the largest employer of union workers in the country. Go, unions! And as far as I know, no one is allergic to the mail. As far as I know.
Don't lick the stamps. I hear that some people are allergic to that. Alan Harris! Ah, that was terrific. All right, and now for something completely different. Our final performer tonight is Lucas Larson with an hour of building jokes, or maybe 20 minutes. Lucas continues to bring jokes to the stage while he builds his hour of comedy. Lucas Larson!
Spider-Man at a heavy metal concert. Just a big mess. I know things about World War II. I learned 20% of them in school and 80% of them from Indiana Jones. And despite my vibe up here, no, I was not homeschooled. Before the pandemic, I volunteered at a science camp for small children. And at the end of camp, all the children filled out notes with prompts on them. And my favorite prompt was, where will your camp counselor, that's me, be in 5 years? And my favorite response was 67 question mark. Like, I really appreciate the question mark. I don't do segues, they're dangerous. Next joke, okay. I'm very charismatic. This seems like a crowd that would like some crowd work. Ma'am?
Yeah.
Handshake? End of crowd work. Wine connoisseurs? Honestly, just sounds like a dinosaur that really likes to party. Like there's carnivores, herbivores, wine connoisseurs. Watch out if the T-Rex gets hold of the Pinot Noir. Literally cannot put it down. That's so dumb. Thank you. Okay. I really like to work out, hard to tell. But I always get the gym membership to the cheapest gym I can find, not to save money, but because personally, I work out harder when I feel in danger. It's like, I can't fail this bench press. They can smell weakness. Like personally, I've been thinking of committing a felony just to get a free gym membership and be extra motivated. Okay, that was too dark. Next joke. Okay. Despite my voice, I really like sports. And recently I was at Wrigley Field, great place, but it's the only place I've ever been where the urinals face each other. Bad news bears. And for those who can't picture it, walk in, 3-foot wall, on one side, urinals, and directly on the other side, also urinals. And I'm just staring straight ahead. And someone's staring back. Turns into a romantic gaze. And we're both touching ourselves. And like, I'm super liberal, live in San Francisco, but that's the only time in my life where I thought, build that wall. I also really like hiking. And my only downside of hiking, least favorite part, is when I'm hiking up and someone hiking down, unprompted, tells me almost there. Because all I can think is, hey, that fucker thinks I'm not gonna make it. So I wait till they pass, and then I yell down at them, hey, you dropped something up here. And they scamper back up thinking they dropped like a Nalgene or a Cliff Bar. I'm just like, nah, you dropped your manners. Okay, hell yeah, next joke. Okay. I recently rode a bicycle 500 miles across the state of Iowa. Rode it from the West Coast to the East Coast and met a lot of cool people. The most memorable person was a pilot who pedaled past me and was like, wherever you're going, show up inspired. And during that ride, I found out it's really hard to tell the difference between inspiration and heat stroke. And the event's name was RAGBRAI, which stands for Registers Great Bicycle Ride Across Iowa. Because Iowans aren't very good at acronyms. I'm like, hey, why don't we just call this RIDE? Ride Iowa Directionally East. I have a pet dog. I recently celebrated the dog's very first birthday. I was real excited, but he was real pissed that I missed his other 6. I also have a pet beta fish. Yeah, before the beta fish, I got the beta fish to counteract my alpha energy. Now with the beta fish, I have net 0 alpha energy. I'm colorblind, the medical kind. So that means my green appears red and my red appears green. I get really nervous when people ask me what my favorite color is. Because I'm like, whose perspective are we talking about? Recently, I was walking and saw a storm drain. And on the storm drain, there was a fish and it said no dumping. So I did not dump anything in the storm drain. However, if the fish was a picture of a turtle, and it said no dumping, I'd be real inclined to dump. Because I'd be like, wow, this city really needs some crime fighters. That's as dumb as the connoisseur joke. Okay. I'm a really big fan of Star Wars. That's my first time telling you that, but you already knew that. I also have a human wife. She's very, very real. She was born and raised in Barcelona, very real. Hell yeah. Okay. And we got married at San Francisco City Hall. And the judge's name was George Lucas. Like, wow, Mr. Lucas. Mr. Lucas, you went from directing one of the best sci-fi action movies of all time to directing My Wedding, which is neither big, fat, nor Greek. Okay, grown. Okay. That deserved that. Okay. Very real wife, though, and met in Barcelona. And then I texted her for a second date. I texted her, hey, do you want to fly yourself to Portugal in 72 hours, smiley face? To which he responded, O-K, but everyone's tracking my phone. To which I responded, sounds good, see you soon. And I was really nervous for the second date. I was really nervous because I didn't know how many beds to book. Like, do I assume and book 1 queen bed? Or do I not assume and book 2 twin beds? So I go to the Portugal airport fully expecting that might be me alone with the 3 beds that I booked. I later found out that the queen bed was really just 2 twin beds put together. But I'm the weirdo that booked the room with 4 beds. It went well though. Went so well, she was like, tie me up and do whatever you want to me. So I tied her up and put on Lord of the Rings Extended Edition. Kept calling her Precious. Things are going well. He's very real. I have to tell you that because of what I'm going to tell you next. And that is for the whole first year of dating, I mispronounced her first name. Her name is Neus. And one day she's like, hey, my name isn't News, it's Neus. And I was like, those are the exact same words. But since you started it, you've actually been calling me the wrong first name. My name isn't Luke, it's Lucas. And she's like, I know your name is Lucas, but I also know you're a really big fan of Star Wars. And I thought it was a lot sexier to date the hero of the story instead of the director. My mother is also the only other person that calls me Luke, but for a totally different reason. She wanted to name me Chris, but my dad decided they were going with Lucas, and my mom holds a grudge. Okay, next joke. Hell yeah. My wife's European. She's very real. And so we argue about how to measure things. So, like, she's European, so she says metric system is the best. And I'm American, so I immediately went to Google to find out what our system is called. Or she's European, so she uses the 24-hour clock. And I'm American, use the 12-hour clock, which is much better because for half the day with 24 hours to know what time it is, you have to do math. I don't want to subtract 12 from anything. Then she's European, so she says Celsius is the best. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, nice round number. And I'm American, so I'm like, Fahrenheit is the best. Water boils when I see bubbles. Thanks everyone, I'm Lucas Larson.
Oh, now while you're at it, okay?
Yep.
You can leave that screen there if you like, you can sit on it.
Okay.
And Pearl and Alan, I don't know where you are, you're backstage. Would you mind bringing out a stool for each one of you?
I left 15 minutes ago.
Or a chair. Pearl?
I think you might want to bring a chair.
Q&A won't be the same without you, Pearl. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, are you okay with that? Would you prefer a chair, Pearl?
Oh, no, this is fine.
You want to chair with that?
Oh, no, this is good. This is good. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
I should have been at that point. All right, let's have a round of applause for you. So, as I said before, any questions related to the performance or the performances, it's fair game. We've got a question to start with. Sometimes people are a little shy. Oh, right. Yeah. Oh.
So my question is for Pearl. It should come as no surprise that I was horrified when you were talking about chopping up the mule and all that. And you know, thinking about, well, this could be me. Do you ever get shocked at how bad black folks had it in the South.
Wow. When my father used to tell me stories, and I would go back home all during the summertime, you know, yeah, sometimes you have to measure the lack of humanity that is in America today. We've gone through so much, and especially in our community, there's a lot of unfinished business in regards to racism. And my father told me that man took his opportunity to learn. That really bothered me because that kind of transformed what life my father would have, because he couldn't go to school. And my mother was going to college. But back then, during, you know, the segregated South, these, you know, Black men were treated, from what my father would tell me the stories, I think horrible. And how he survived. My mother told my dad she didn't want her children to go through, to live down south. That's why she said it was time to go.
Thank you.
Other questions?
I want to know how angry you really are in your everyday life. Sorry, I don't remember your name and I didn't get the piece of paper. Alan.
Alan,
Yes.
you wanna know how angry I really am?
You don't look like an angry guy.
In fact, I'm pretty angry about the fact that I chose this chair. I'm short enough, and
Can I get to a stool?
no,
I understand what it's like to be short. We don't want you to feel bad about that.
good. Make my case.
And how much fun are you having doing this work? Yeah, Alan.
Me still?
Yeah.
How much fun am I having doing? Oh, enormous amount of fun. It's a
Yeah.
great outlet, most definitely.
And have you been performing other places, or is this like your start?
Well, I do a lot of what's I guess called spoken word. Part of the poetry scene here in San Francisco. And
Yes.
two of the finest poets and one of the finest actors in San Francisco are here to meet there. And I'm not gonna stop it. No, I want everyone to know. And yeah, so that's my main outlet. Thanks.
Alan, can I ask you a question? When I was listening to your performance, you remind me a little bit of Bob Newhart. Has anybody ever seen
Bob Newhart?
One of your, yeah,
Phone.
the phone.
Oh,
right?
kind of psychotic Bob Newhart.
Yeah. No, like the gentleman was saying, it's the phone call, you know, Bob Newhart was a whole story, you know, his whole style was that, you know, and that you just reminded me of that. Oh.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And Lucas, some of your humor, it like takes me a second. Some of it is really funny, like when you say you're colorblind.
Yeah, no, I know.
Such deep political humor. It takes a minute. Or the name pronunciation. Or your mother being really pissed off, the way, but it takes me a minute to catch on. And then there's a lot of cultural references that you have that I probably am not familiar with because of my age.
Yeah.
So, how long have you been doing this, and what is your image of where you're taking this?
Right, been going on like 4 years, and yeah, I've just been leaning into like the nerdier, more awkward part of like me being on stage, and yeah, try to build an hour and like working on podcast and then like producing shows and just try to do it as much as possible and see where it goes.
Mhm. Okay, so when you looked at your watch a couple of times during your performance, it made me anxious. And I didn't know whether that was part of the shtick or whether it's like, I want to get the hell off the stage.
It's like leaning into like the awkwardness and then just like making sure hitting the time, like more charismatic comedians will like do it less deliberately, but yeah, so
And it's your real wife, the one who was laughing?
I
Is she
don't,
here?
I don't know if he was laughing, but he does happen to be in the audience.
So, this is gonna be so obnoxious, but I can't get up myself. Has anyone approached you about playing Bobby Kennedy in a biopic?
Nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which Bobby Kennedy? 16th or current. You know, yeah.
Yeah, I might have to try to turn that into a joke.
Were you born on the East Coast?
No, I was born in Colorado.
Lucas, when it comes to your delivery of stand-up, did your delivery come to you automatically, or did you work to say, I want to try more like a deadpan, like, or comedy? Because I know sometimes comedians want to try to find some type of style that works. I don't know how to say it, but did it just come natural to you? Do you feel like it, or was it
No, it's just a lot of trial and error.
trial?
Like, definitely try to be like a charismatic comic, like Kevin Hart. But that didn't work for me.
So it's a lot of hit and misses, like trying to find who you are, your voice, right?
Yeah, like the awkwardness, like I'm comfortable with, and then just have to get the audience comfortable with it. But like when I was trying to be charismatic, that like they were uncomfortable and I was uncomfortable.
You gotta go.
Oh, bye-bye. Thanks.
Great. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, tomorrow, let's get to the connection between audience and performance.
Still got half the team here.
Pearl, I've seen some of your other work. I really love how you're weaving in pieces that I've seen somewhere else, like a story about your dad being pulled out of the classroom. I saw that, and I was very moved by that as part of the FIP program.
Thanks.
And it's so amazing how you can weave different pieces of a story into different situations because they fit. They fit.
Yeah, when when my father was working hard that day, you don't learn that overnight.
Right.
It's something that's consistently. Like, I remember my cousins used to tell me all the time, man, your father had all these muscles. And people would ask me, did you work at a gym? No, I dig ditches, like my dad would say.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, and I love the way you weave in the history with the right now, like the digging ditches and you're watching, and he has life experiences that reminisce the hard work he did in the South.
Yeah.
So this is a very eclectic mix. I have to ask, how did the three of you come to be on the same bill?
The answer to that would belong to Alexa, who's in the booth, who not only runs the lights and sound, but is the one who collects applications and sort of figures out who's gonna fit the booth. So I would give a nice warm round of applause to Alexa for that. I just have to say, it's amazing to me how many times, like, at the end of a Monday Night March performance, people will say, these pieces just all fit together. I don't know how. So Alexis seems to have some kind of, I don't know what, ESP or something for putting the right people on the bill at the same time. So anyway, because I think tonight they all three work together really, really well. Very, very good people.
It was fun tonight, I thought.
Right.
Really fun. You guys were a wonderful audience.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fun.
Any other questions? Well, I don't wanna keep it going on unnecessarily, it is Monday night, so people are ready to go. Any last questions?
I have a question. I just wanted to tell Pearl that I really, really enjoyed your performance, especially, and the way you transformed yourself into the different characters with different voices and everything. Totally great. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
sorry, go ahead, yes, please.
Sorry, do you guys have, like directorial, like, do you have somebody that you work with directing, like kind of guiding anything, or is it solely on you, or what's that process like?
Well, I have a wonderful director named David Ford. He's the best. He teaches and directs solo performers, and he's I think his tutelage is here at the Marsh. This is what he does, and he has a class, you guys. So if you guys want to take David Ford's class at the Marsh, tell them people out there, silent springs out there that you can catch his class. But he's helped me quite a bit with this story. Yeah.
I try to write every day and just write like muscle. And then there's a bunch of open mics and shows and try to get on as many shows as possible. But you always do the open mics and then you're building it like 3 to 5 minutes at a time in dingy bars.
Nope, just me.
You know, sometimes when they have comics, they go to these comedy clubs or comedy colleges or so. What did you think about something like that? Or have you ever had friends that went to, I guess, someone that teach you how to be funny or anything? I guess that's one of the mantra that they say.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried any of that, or?
Like I've read some books and listened to podcasts
Yeah.
and like people in the scene have done the college in San Francisco. I think it's really just about getting on stage and like sticking to it. But if you need a class to do that little boost to get on stage the first time, then it's helpful. But like if you go to class 8 times versus if you're performing like multiple times a week for 8 weeks, the person performing is gonna have the edge up, in my opinion.
About how you develop the characters and the scenes and what your inspiration was for those moments. Yeah.
Well, these 4 pieces that I did all started out as spoken word pieces, and I've been doing some of them for years. And some of it, believe it or not, is based on actual experiences that I've had, and I just kind of pushed them to an absurd place. So, yeah.
They rang true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, maybe we could just go down, the line, all three of you. What's the best way to sort of find out, like, where you might be performing again, or what you're up to stage-wise? The social media, the website, whatever. Pearl?
Oh, well, I'll be performing this play again, the same one, on the 18th. And I'm gonna try to make it into a full, solo performance. So that's what I'm gonna try to do, yeah. But as for a website or so, I'm gonna work on one, yeah.
You know Anna Devere Smith?
Oh, yes, yeah. She's great, ain't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's fabulous.
Reminiscent.
I think so. Oh, thanks.
So I'm L Squared Comedy on all social media, and then I have a free show that I'm producing this Wednesday at the Felix. That's a speakeasy near the Powell BART station. I'll be hosting that and have a lineup of hilarious comedians.
Well, my main outlet is still, spoken word, so I'm, going around to different open mics, poetry open mics, I'm trying to hoping to get more into performative stuff. And I'm on Facebook, and that's really about it, because I'm, old. Facebook is Instagram for people. Oh, yeah, next month I have a couple of poetry features coming up, but, that's my, if you want to find out about me, then you just go to Facebook, look for Alan Harris. It's such an uncommon name. Find you.
Well, thank you again to the performers. Audience members, because right clearly, it's not theater. Thank you so much for being on Zoom, folks. We are grateful for you wherever the camera. But live audience, breathing,
Yeah.
connecting back and forth with the performers is nothing beats it. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And come out here.
Pearl, I want to get your picture.
Yeah, you.
Oh, hey. Oh.